it's my pleasure to introduce our CEO, Mike McWaters. He's been your CEO, our CEO for the past 7 years, and he's going to come share a little bit about your cooperative and where we are and where we're going. Mike?
All right, I want to echo a little bit of what Brad said as far as thanking our employees. They're the ones that do what we do here every day, and hopefully they provide good service to you, and I hope they're kind and courteous to you when they come in contact with you. If they're not, see me and we'll see if we can fix that. But it is those folks that do a lot of work every day. I want to especially thank Janet Henderson. Janet is kind of responsible for putting all this together, the room and everything today, did a great job there, so I want to thank her for that. I want to thank your board of trustees. You know, you get to elect your board, and then they get to hire 3 people. They get to hire their attorney, they get to hire their auditor, and they get to hire their CEO. And fortunately, they've given me the opportunity to work for them for the last 7 years, and it's been a great opportunity for me. It's been a great experience. I grew up just outside of Enterprise, so to have the opportunity for me to be able to come back to this part of Alabama has been a tremendous experience for me. So I want to thank them for their confidence that they have placed in me to give me the ability to work for them. Your board every other year has a strategic planning session. And one of the things that they do is they give us direction as management as to what they would like to see done and some goals that they give us. And I think that's a very important job that they do, probably the most important thing that they do. I will tell you what those goals are. They're in no particular order other than the number one goal is safety. And that's the only one that we have ranked in order. We said that is the number one goal that we have every day is for our employees to go home to their families safely. And I don't think there's anything that can be more important than that. And to carry on with that is also that we educate our members as they have power lines out in their facilities that they're safe as well, and that we try to do member education to let people know not to come in contact with energized power lines. The rest of those goals are reliability, financial strength, which you've heard Ed talk about, customer service, communications, having competitive rates, economic development, energy management, and then governance effectiveness. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot about governance effectiveness, but in essence what that is the board has made a commitment to you, the members, to be transparent in what they do, to hold themselves accountable to a higher standard, and I think they've done an excellent job of that over the last 6 to 7 years. Let's see if I can get this to work here. Focused on safety. One of the things I wanted to point out, since December of 2010, our employees have worked over 216,000 hours without having a lost time accident. And that certainly could not have happened without the commitment that our employees have to being safe. And it's not anything that we have done, but it's something we preach every day. And this is the logo that we use every day, every life, 100% safe. And that's what our goal is. To tell you how that impacts you, you know, as an employer, we have to pay workers' compensation insurance based on accidents that our employees have. In 2006, our loss ratio was 120%, so we were not doing too good. Last year, our loss ratio was 0.73%, so we've had a dramatic decrease in our workers' compensation cost. This year, year-to-date through August, we're at 0.71%, so if we can continue this path, by the end of the year, we will have our best record that we've ever had, as far as I can tell, in our safety program. Also, one of the things we'd like to do is partner with our community. It's one of the cooperative principles. Earlier this year, back in January, 6 of our employees got together through Habitat for Humanity, and we helped build a home for 2 of our members. And that was Doug and Dorothy Campbell over in the Cottonwood community. We spent all day. When we got there that morning, there was a slab. When we left that afternoon, the house was dried in, believe it or not. So our employees pitched in and did a great job with that. Something else that we have started doing that's available to communities is we donated about 2 days worth of work, and that's not consecutive days or contiguous time, but in just little projects here and there where we go out, and if somebody needs a flagpole painted, we can use our bucket truck to reach a flagpole they can't reach, or if a school needs a ball field net hung, that we go do that. We were able to donate that through part of our giving back to our community, and our guys have been very gracious in doing that. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention about community involvement, our employees are very active in United Way. We have a drive every November that we do. Last year, our employees, we had the 24th largest United Way drive of any company in the Wiregrass, and I was very proud of that, that not only do our employees give back with their time, but they're willing to give back with their money. In 2006, we started a program of cutting right-of-way strategically throughout our service territory. Prior to that, kind of hit and miss with our right-of-way, but we actually put together a cycle of what year we were going to cut right-of-way, when we were going to come back and recut it, when we're going to chemically treat part of the right-of-way. And as a result of that, we've cut over 2,600 miles of right-of-way since 2006. And that has gone a long way in reducing outages. When the wind blows a little bit, not having the trees to bump into the power line has reduced outages and that kind of thing. Another thing that's also helped to reduce those outages is since that time we've also gotten to a program we inspect 6,000 power poles a year. We actually go out to the poles, hire somebody to look at them to see if they're rotten, deteriorated, that kind of thing. And since 2006, we have inspected about 42,000 poles. We have about 48,000, and we have replaced about 1,200 of those. We found that had deteriorated over time. We've replaced them. Hopefully we're doing that before they fall when the wind blows. So again, that helps to prevent outages. As part of our planning process, our engineering staff develops a plan that they do on a 4-year basis. It's a rotating 4-year plan, and they go out and they look and see where you live. Is our load growing in that area? Do we need to expand facilities? Do we need to plan for future growth in a certain particular area, especially like on the west side of Dothan? Because it's not something you can just run out and do in a day or two. You have to plan ahead of time. Also, is there things that just because of aging that we need to upgrade? And so we're finishing up right now a $20 million work plan where we have spent $5 million a year every year for the last 4 years trying to upgrade electric plant. And we're about to embark on a new program that's going to be about $11 million. So over the next 4 years, we're going to be spending $2.5 to $3 million a year, again, improving reliability, and hopefully that's going to decrease outages. Our engineering staff has also been hard at work as far as identifying things that they can do to, when we do have an outage, reduce the number of people that are impacted by an outage. So there's a lot of things we've been able to do, installing switches and fuses and those kinds of things to help reduce the number of people when we do have an outage. So instead of having 1,000 people out, maybe we only have 50 out. We've been trying to work hard on that. We've also been doing a lot of system cleanup where transformers that are unused are being taken down, old services that used to be there, maybe they served a home, the home's burned, the home's not there anymore, retiring that. And you may think, well, why don't we do that? Well, that helps reduce line losses. Because when we're buying power every month, it's kind of like having water in a bucket and moving it. If you spill some of the water, you still had to pay for it. And that's kind of the way electricity is. We have to pay for it when we buy it. And if we're not selling all of it, then it's costing all of us money. So we want to make sure we sell and have that as efficient as possible. One of the other things our engineering folks do is a weekly blink count that we've been able to do since some of the technology we have installed. So every week they're getting a report to see whose lights blinked during the course of the week. I don't know if y'all like I am. I always go tell them when mine blink. They don't have to wait on them to see the report. I always run down there and tell them, y'all know my lights blinked yesterday. But usually they know ahead of time, and they know that I'm coming probably. But the reason we do that is because we can look and see, and they've kind of set 3 blinks as a standard. They know that if your lights have blinked more than 3 times, more than likely you've got a problem, and we need to go figure out what the problem is. And usually we know that before you do, because either you weren't at home or maybe it was a pump or something that you just don't see every day. And by virtue of doing that, we've been able to provide more reliable electric service. And also we continue to do a lot of routine tests. We test equipment in our substations, test our meters, trying to do things on a proactive basis to keep you from being out of power. One of the things that the board has allowed us to do over the last few years is invest a lot of money in technology. And because of that, we've been able to do a lot of these things like the blink count we would not have been able to do had we not had our auto meters in place, the meters that actually let us know whether or not the system's blinking. Our outage management system that we have helps us to better respond to outages. Again, we try to prevent them the best we can, but when we have weather, we can't. But through our outage management system, it groups those together, so we have a better idea of where to go to start with, rather than trying to ride up and down the road for hours upon end trying to figure out where the problem is. We now kind of know where it is, and we can go directly to that and respond more quickly. Technology has also allowed us to offer new programs and new services, such as our prepaid program. And that's something that has really been beneficial to a lot of members, and we would not be able to do that if we didn't have the technology that we have today. Another area that we're real proud of that we have started the last couple of years is an energy services department. And the whole idea of this department is to try to help you use less electricity. I know that kind of sounds odd that we sell something, but yet we're trying to help you use less of it. But that's what a cooperative is all about. We're not a for-profit company. We're not driven by profits. We're here to help you reduce your consumption and make sure you use it as wisely as possible. And through our folks being able to go out and do energy audits in your home and to give you ideas whether you need to caulk around your windows, you need to add insulation, if you need to replace a heat pump or whatever, they can make those recommendations to you to help you be able to use energy as efficiently as possible. Along that end, we've also helped through help with our power supplier, PowerSouth. We've started a loan program where if you have some of those things that they've identified and you don't have the money to pay for it, we can set up a loan program partnering with Regions Bank so we can actually loan you the money to do those improvements to your home. And hopefully that's going to be a very successful program for our members. Our Member Services Department, one of the goals that we have there, I think we've done a lot in the last few years, is to try to make it as hassle-free as possible to do business with Wiregrass. That's our goal, is whenever you do business with us, that it's really not a hassle for you to do business with us. And hopefully we're doing a good job at that. Our numbers seem to indicate that we are. Whenever we survey our customers and we ask you, how are we doing? Are we doing a good job? And you seem to be telling us on a reoccurring basis that you like what we're doing and that we're doing a good job. But we want to be able to provide services so that you can do business with us when it's convenient for you, not just when we're open. I talked a little bit earlier about our prepay program that we have started. If you're familiar with a prepay cell phone, this works exactly the same way. The good thing about it is it allows you to pay when you can pay, when you want to pay, and how much you want to pay. The old traditional method of electricity was you used it for 30 days, and then 30 days later we sent you a bill. And most of the time you forgot how cold or hot it was, and you're like, man, I didn't realize I'd used that much. Well, the way this works, you pay for it as you go, and it's really been an attractive program. We started back in March, and we've already got over 500 people that are participating in this program, and everybody that has done this really likes it because, it gives them the ability to manage their usage. And some of the people I've talked to that are on it have said that you don't realize how much you're using until you start seeing it every day, and then you begin to get the kids to go by and turn the light switches off, or you unplug things because you want to make sure that you've not used more than what you're supposed to for the day. One of the things for all of us that this program has allowed us to do, it looks like by the end of this year, we're going to reduce our bad debt by about $100,000. And so obviously, whenever we can't collect people's bills, we all have to pay for that because we're cooperative. So we don't get any grant money or anything like that from anybody. So if somebody doesn't pay, then we all have to pitch in and pay their share. So it looks like we're going to be able to reduce our bad debt by about $100,000 this year. And another thing, it has saved our members about $50,000 in penalties and fees that they're not having to pay because of the fact that now they can now pay when they can't afford to pay. Another thing that we've done, if you use a smartphone, we've created an app. And a lot of folks are now moving to smartphone technology to be able to look at their bills, be able to pay their bills, be able to report an outage. And who would ever thought that I can take my phone and I can pretty much do everything from my phone that I could do sitting in an office. That's kind of hard for me to accept sometime, but that's the way it is now. That's the way a lot of people like to do business with us. And the last thing I wanted to mention was just about the management of the cooperative. I'm real proud of what our folks have done over the last 6 or 7 years. I think they really have stepped up to the plate, and they have made a lot of progress, and I take a lot of pride in that. I think they take a lot of pride in that. The fact that used to, we would go to other co-ops and see how other co-ops did things because we wanted to figure out what the new way to do things were. And I can't tell you how many times in the last year or two that we have co-ops calling us, coming to visit us because they know that we're doing things the right way. And it's not because of anything I've done, it's just our employees have taken that challenge and they have stepped up and really done some creative things. One of the things as far as controlling costs, by using technology, we've been able to increase the number of meters that we have per employee. That ratio was like 295 to 1, so we had 295 meters for every one employee. Today that number is almost 400. So through technology, we've been able to be more efficient. And when we're more efficient, that means your bill is lower and we all save money. Over the last 7 years, excluding wholesale power, because we don't have any control over what our wholesale power cost is, but our costs, our controllable costs, have gone up 3 meals. That's 1/3 of 1 cent. In 7 years, the piece that we can control has gone up. And if you've bought bread or milk or anything else, I would say that's probably a good record that we have, that as far as what we can control, our employees are doing a great job of controlling that cost. As Ed mentioned, our system continues to grow, and we're continuing to build a new plant. But at the same time, while we've been able to do all of that, our equity has maintained. We have maintained about a 53% equity ratio in the company. You may say, what does that mean? If we're going to do $5 million worth of work, the members pay $2.5 million, and we borrow $2.5 million. That's kind of the way we do that. That's very strong compared to other co-ops in the nation. That number nationwide probably is down in the high 30s to low 40%. So we're doing much better than most of our sister co-ops all across the nation. And the last thing I wanted to mention, and to kind of wrap up my report, is that since 2005, the board really challenged us to get back in the mode of paying capital credits. And we have done that. We've done that every year. And I think we've retired about $3.7 million now in capital credits. But over the last 4 years, we paid back about $1 million in capital credits. And so I hope you should have gotten a check from 1980 and 1981. If you were members of the cooperative during those 2 years recently, you should have gotten a couple of checks from us. That's your money, and we're glad to be able to return that to you. And our goal, as the board has set forth to us, is to do that every year and to keep continuing down that path. So with that, I am finished with my comments. But again, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve you, our members, because we realize that without you, we wouldn't have a job. And I think all our employees realize that. And again, I hope they're courteous to you. We don't always agree. I was talking to somebody earlier. We don't always agree, but at least we can be respectful of each other even when we don't agree. And if they're not, you call me and we'll take care of that. So thank you very much.